Hi, good evening, everyone. Hey, good evening, Ibra, Reena. Good evening, Subhash.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Hey, good evening, Prag. Good evening, everyone. Have you all booked your slots for evaluation?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Please complete your CCs and assignments on time. Okay. There's been information from Lalita and Manish, like the teaching coordinator, saying the CCs and the assignments are not submitted on time and there is very few submissions. Okay, please submit. It might affect your, during the placements. So, so please submit it on time. Okay. Are you finding it is the time limit not like not enough? Are you given 1 day or 2 days to submit your CCs? Are you given 1 day or 2 days for to submit your CC?
Ma'am, usually it's 44 hours, right?
Okay. Mhm. Okay. So then that should be enough for a CC because I see like CCs as simple. Okay. Assignments might take time, but still CCs is doable within 44 hours or in 2 days. So please try to submit. Okay. Yeah. Let's post the MCQ. I have added one MCQ to Tata batch. Yes, submitted in Baba batch as well. When will node complete? Rupam, today is the last day for no node alone. Okay. But I think like we will start MongoDB tomorrow. Okay. Uh, yeah. Node alone is completed actually before, we are seeing the deployment part yesterday and today. Okay, the node by itself, the modules, files, and all we have already completed. Okay, but in data persistence, like the DB part is still pending. Are you asking node alone or the entire backend? For the backend to get completed, you still have 5 classes for Mongo, 4 for SQL. Yeah, you still have 12 to 13 days, I believe. Yeah, entire backend you still have 3 weeks. By the start of third week, we should be completed. Okay, let me share my screen. Read the question carefully. Your MCQ is kind of confusing. As expected, many of you have given wrong answer. Read the question carefully and then answer. What is the concept being explained there? What are we actually doing? ES6 concept is being used. Can anyone of you tell me what it is? Yeah, Nileshwar, correct. Anyone else? You can send direct messages. Nobody can guess. Okay, there's a concept of destructuring being applied there. Okay, when you destructure from an array, okay, only the first element will be available in the variable y. Okay, because you have destructured only variable y from numbers. Okay, others who have got it wrong, I think like you got it like numbers are substituted in place of y, so it becomes double array inside an array, 2D array. Okay, that's not what is happening. Okay, uh, there's a concept of destructuring. Okay, so the first element will be assigned to variable y. Okay, yeah, let me share my screen. Yeah, is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So any issues with deploying your simple APIs with in Heroku? Can any one of you send me any link which you have deployed? Can you send your app links in the chat? So what I did is I just removed this package.log.json. Just because you have this URL, I was not able to get the build as successful. So now when I did try removing package.json, I did no, I was able to deploy the application. Let me show you. Okay. So this is the app. I've got, so this is the simple hello thing which we were seeing yesterday. Okay. And let's do this slash post as well. So this is the URL. So slash post. So it's going to give me all the posts available in my application. So this is a simple API. All the CRUD operations can be implemented and hosted. Okay, I have got one link from Prague. Okay, I have got another from Nileshwar as well. Okay, you have deployed an entire application itself, Prague.
Yes, ma'am. Using MailChimp integration.
Okay, okay, got it. I'm not able to access. Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, just the simple application will do good at this particular point in time. Once we learn about the data bases, and then we will learn how to integrate in the entire application and deploy it in Heroku. Okay, so today we will see about environment variables. Okay, yesterday we saw something called process.env.port, right? So when you are deploying your application in Heroku, okay, you cannot hard code port to be 3000, because, or any other number you cannot hard code, because you know in your system that this 3000 port is free, so you are assigning it, you're hard coding the port number. Whereas in Heroku you do not know, and the application itself dynamically allocates a certain port number to your application. So instead of hard coding the value, you need to, yes, correct, Abhishek. Okay, so you need to get the port from process.env.port. Okay, this port is a variable. So what is this? What are environment variables? Okay, if you remember, uh, when we were uploading files in Cloudinary, okay, I think it's on the, yeah, when we were uploading files in Cloudinary, okay, what happened is you had a secret key, right? This is not Cloudinary, I believe. This is sessions. Okay, let's go back. Ha. You had an API key, you had an API secret. All these are no sensitive values which you don't want to upload in GitHub and let everyone else know that. Okay, you should not allow all these secret values which are keys. Even when you are configuring database, right, you can have a database name, DB name, the password for to access your database. Every database will have that, so you have some sensitive information. You cannot hard code that, and it's not that you cannot, you can. It's not a good practice to hard code all these sensitive informations in your code and then upload it to GitHub. Okay, let's say someone get access to your GitHub profile, like your code, they will be able to access this, and there is a possibility to to hack your systems, right? So what, for this you use environment variables. Okay, you configure the secret key in the env file and then use it in your code. Okay, this is one certain case. Okay, the other use would be, let's go to this port only. Okay, so since this is dynamic and these variables are used to start up your applications, you don't want to hard code those values. Okay, and you wanted to store them in a it basically depends on the environment, okay, where you are running. Like on the start of an application, when my node.js is getting started, I need to configure something, right? All those configurations, this port is one configuration which you need to make when your application is starting. All those startup related configurations can also be put into the env file. Okay, I'll tell you about env file, okay, in a minute. You can also put that into an env variable and then use it in your application. Okay, so let us say, let me do one thing. Let me start this application. Let me console.log and try to print and show you process. Process is a module. Okay, it is a node.js module. Okay, where you can access, let me show you. Similar to other core modules, process is also a module, but you need not use this require and all. By default, it is a global object available in your application. One other global object which you know is the module one, right? Module.export. These are all global objects which are available in your node.js runtime environment. Similar to module, you have a global object called process. Okay, if you give a dot, you can see all information related to the Node.js runtime environment related to that particular process itself. Okay, if you can see here how much CPU is used, what are the configurations, what are the arguments, everything related to the Node.js process itself will be available in this object. Okay, if you can see here process.exit, it will simply stop your server and then come out. Okay, so related to the, whenever you start your Node.js server, this process has all informations related to that particular process which is getting started. Okay, is that clear? We are only concerned about this env, which stands for environment variables, where you can configure all these port numbers or any information which is required to start up your application, or any secret informations as well. Secret, by secret I mean sensitive informations which you don't want others to which you don't want to expose, right? And understood what this environment variable is, why it's useful? Any doubts on this?
Hello.
Yes, Abhishek.
Can you please repeat this process?
Yes, process is a global object. Okay, it's a global object available similar to your module and all. Okay, have you seen this module dot exports? Right, we did use, right, like whenever you wanted to export. What this module is a global object, similar to how in Chrome. Okay, in Chrome you had window as a global object. So in window you had everything related to the you had alert, you had navigation, all the global objects which are available in the browser were attached to your window object, right? Similarly, in Node.js environment, you have certain global objects which are available. Module is one global object where you get, if you go and try to print, it will give you the file name, it will give you all the things related to that particular module itself. See, your app is a module, right? That particular module, all information it will have. So we were using module dot exports, which is a global object. Okay, and that is how you were exporting value methods or variables from one module to another module, right? So similar to that, you have another global object called process. Okay, if you go and see, okay, this process is again a global object which is available in all of your files since it's global, and everything related to the particular, let's say if I start the Node.js application, I need to stop that process, right? It is a process, right? I need to stop it. I need to connect. I need some configurations to be made when I configure, right? I need to abort it, right? Stop in between itself. I need to know how much of a CPU usage it's being done. Okay, all these are related to the particular process itself, correct? You can kill a process, you can add listeners, you can have how know them the memory you need to know the memory usage of the process, right? This process, it contains huge thing. You have std in, std out, all these as well. We are only bothered about env here. Okay, in this global object you have an env variable which holds all the configurations in your Node.js application. For example, port configuration, and you can configure any variable. Okay, by any variable I mean the secret variables or any information which need to be configured during the start of your Node.js application. Whenever I need to start, I need to configure the port, right? Similarly, all the sensitive informations, all the user related information, your secret keys and passwords, all goes into this env file. Okay, env variable, from which you can simply access it in the program. If you just give process.env.port, you will get that particular value. but we already know how to get that, but how to add port number here, right? So only if it is configured you can get it in line 5, else it will be undefined, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's see how to add variables in .env, okay, and how to add it as a separate file and then link it. Okay, so if you have only one port, okay, let me run this and show you. First, I'm just trying to print process.env dot port. Okay, I'm just trying to access the value. Now if I try node dot app dot js, can you see undefined here? It's from line 13. Since we haven't configured what port value is, it is undefined. Okay, if you need to add variables to your env object, what you need to do is, before starting the application, you need to give that value. Let's say port is, no, I have already done that. Okay, if let's say if port is 8000, you need to configure that. Let's say you need to configure port, and let's say user id also you wanted to configure. Let's say that is abc. Okay, you add all the key value, okay, before whatever you wanted to add in env, you add it as a key value pairs, and then start the application. Now if I try to print, can you see 8000 here? Where is it coming from? Where is it coming from? Because during the start of the process, I have configured port equal to 8000. So whatever you give here, right, it will automatically go inside, inside the environment variables. Okay, can we try to print process dot env dot user id? Okay, so now if I just stop it and then run, can you see 8000 ABC? So everything you give here as a key and value, all will be attached to the env object, and you will be able to access it in any of the file in your Node.js application. Is that clear? So generally people used to configure the port and all in the env file. So let's say you have now this is for one or two variables, right? I have only two variables, so I just gave when I'm starting the application. Let's say you have DB configuration, password for DB. Let's say you have password for Cloudinary. You have you have the session, right? Express session. You had a secret to encode it, secret key. You have a secret for that, and the list goes on, right? So you cannot be configuring in every time when you start the application. You cannot be putting that in the beginning of the command and run it every time, right? If it is two, it's okay, I can do this, or 2 3, I can do this. What will happen when the list keeps on growing, right? Like, well, let's say you have 5 to 10 different values to be configured, sensitive informations. Okay, for that what you need to do is simply add in your root, in your folder, in your root where your package.json is, simply create .env file. Understood so far? Do you have any uh, uh, you know doubts so far here? Command line argument. So Prag is asking me, so it is a command line argument. Not exactly. Okay, if you need to give the values, you can give it by this way as well. If you have 2 to 3 environment variables only, meaning you can just have it when you are starting the application, you can just mention those variables when you are starting the application. Okay, but that is that is not the preferred way. Even if you have one, go with having a separate env file only. Okay, but this is one way which I wanted to mention. Okay, so let's say you have multiple values here. Okay, so what will happen is you simply need to add all the values here. Let's say port is 8000. Okay, user id, which is Yeah, ABC. Let us take, where was my, where is that? I wanted this to be configured in the cloud, in the ENV as well. What I can do is cloudinary secret key, which is equal to, sorry, API key and API secret. API key, which is this one, and secret, API secret, right? Yeah, API secret. Any variable name you can, it's not mandatory, but so you can configure all your environment variables like this in your env file and then use it in your application. Now I have configured port, right? Now I can go and do ./app.js. Can you see undefined, undefined, right? When you are adding an env file, your node runtime environment will not know that it should include this env file by default and then add it to your env object. It will not know that, by default node doesn't do that. Okay, only if you give like this, that is when you are starting your application, only if you give it in the command itself before starting the application, only then by default it will get attached to your env. Understood? Okay, even if I have a .env separate file and I have listed all these, even then if I start, you will get undefined only because your node environment will not include this env file by default. Got it? So you have a package for this, okay, to include your .env file, to add all the key value pairs in your .env file inside your process.env object. You have a separate third party package, which is npm install .env. Okay, you can simply install that, okay, and then import it. Require .env, okay, dot config. Okay, this is an npm package. If you go and search here .env, load environment variables from .env file. So this is the standard process you have to follow whenever you need to include environment variables. Okay, so we have installed it, we have created a env file, something similar to like this. Okay, now we need to import and configure, right? So you need to just import like this. You need not assign it to a variable and all, not necessary. We are not going to include that. If you simply give this statement, dot config, it will add all your items in your .env file to this process.env object. That is the job of this third party library. Understood so far? Can we just include that and try to access this? Okay, let's print the entire env itself. Let's see what all are present there. Now if I just simply give dot node slash, yeah, can you see multiple things? These are default. By default your node environment will add it to your env object. Okay, but what we have added is something the last four. Can you see something? What all we have added in the env file is being included here? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what you can do is simply go to here. Okay. Simply giving, instead of hard coding values like this, okay, you can simply write process dot env dot, what is the key, API key, right? And then you have it here. So that value which you gave in the env file will get substituted here. So instead of hard coding all these sensitive informations, you need to put that in a env file and then add this like this. Got it? Just mention the key name alone. Can you make changes to all your Cloudinary projects, add an env file? Yes. Now you can ask me like this, I have a env file. I'll still be uploading to a GitHub repository only, and I'll still be able to access it. Like, what's the use of it, right? Correct. So you should not upload your .env files in your GitHub repository. Understood? You should not do that. Okay. Then you can ask me like, when I am running the application, where will I go for these fields? If my env file is not present, okay, when your application is being deployed and run, this will be undefined, right? If my env file is not present. Correct. Yes, no.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So it's not a good practice to upload your .env file in your GitHub repository. So instead, so you can ask me like, how will, when I deploying the application, I need these values. If my env file is not there, where will I configure? Right? Whenever you are deploying your application in any of the in any of the third party like Heroku or AWS, you will have a setting to configure this env files in your application. Is that clear? What we can do is, okay, I haven't uploaded this .env. Okay, let me go back to the project which I already had yesterday, which I uploaded. This one, right? This one. Okay. So this is the project. Okay. So let me add .env file. Okay. So now what I'm trying to do is, let's try to send all values in process.env. Okay, just to check if it is being actually available when I'm deploying it in the application. I'm just going to send all values in the environment variables. Now I haven't uploaded this in my GitHub repository. Okay, so I have just made this change. So let me add this change. So git commit -m. Hmm. No, you should add this to your GitHub, sorry, in your git ignore file. Okay. Give me a minute. Okay. So now this, I have added this file in the git ignore. So hopefully that is not being included in the thing, I believe. Let us go to my GitHub thing, and then let's push to origin. Let's go to and see it in our GitHub. Okay. So I don't have the env file here. It is added in .env in my app.js. I'm simply trying to get all the values in my env, right? So as of now, I haven't configured anything in the application. I don't have an env file, but let us go to our Heroku app. Okay, it's being deployed just now. Okay, automatic deploy. Now if I go and open application, okay, do you see the values? Only the default values I have, right? I showed you the default values which your node will attach automatically. Okay, only that I have, right? So I need to configure the port, the cloudinary secret key, and all those other informations which are sensitive in Heroku as well, because I don't have .env file. So it's obviously not possible for these values to be available in .env file. And that's the reason I am not getting those values in the response as well. So now, in order to configure the values in env, the values which are available in your .env file in the Heroku, go to your settings. You can do in multiple ways. You can use Heroku CLI as well. Let's do it in the UI itself. Go to settings. You will have config variables here. Okay. So you don't have anything as of now. So I am going to add port 8000. Okay, I'm going to add this. Okay, let's add cloudinary API key. Okay, so let's add these two alone. Now I think it should, yes. Okay, it will restart the application. Now if I go and hit, okay, so now let's go and ask for, okay, can you see the cloudinary API key in the process.env? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, let's see port. Even if you give 8000, right? Even if you give 8000, your Heroku application will try to do it dynamic way. Okay, it will try to override that value. You cannot hard code port values similar to how you do in local. Okay, so that it will override this port value. But these values are the exact value which I gave in the config variables. Okay, but when I configure in my Heroku application, there's no way someone will get access to these sensitive informations, right? All the configurations as well. So when I try to access, okay, .env or the application, the API key alone anywhere in my application, okay, you will not get undefined even if you don't have env file, since you have configured those config variables in the settings. Okay, you will have the information available in your application. Understood what environment variables are, how to do it in local, how to add it in Heroku. Every time you add, it will try to rebuild and redeploy your application. Any doubts on this? Okay, try to add all your Cloudinary, all your secret keys for your express sessions. Okay, try to add it in your Heroku application as a config variable, and then try to use it in your application using this key, like that is process.env dot your key name. If you add one time, it is not going to change, right? Your API keys, if there is a change, you definitely need to change. Not every time, like this, when I'm deploying the application, right? Once it's configured, it's not going to change, right? These are some static secret information that I don't want to expose in my GitHub repository. Rather configure it in my Heroku application itself. You need not start every time and all. You need not configure. Once it's configured, it's done. Why do you need to add it every time? Not necessary, right? Abhishek, is it out here? If this is going to change, right? Like if your variables, if your secret key is going to change, obviously you need to come here and change. You need not add, the config variables every time. Okay, Abhishek? Okay. Any other doubts with environment variables?
Ma'am, here also we are like hard coding the port value, right?
Yes, but it will not consider actually. Your
Oh,
Heroku will ignore it. That is
good.
the reason. If you can see here, port is some random value which
Mm-hmm.
we didn't give. Okay, just for we have added that in the local as well. That's the reason I just showed you. Port alone, it will override. It will not look for the value which you have configured. If you see here, it's not running in 8000 actually. It's running in some 11265. The other informations and all are respect to, by default your node will add those in your env object when the server is getting started. You can see it's actually running in a Linux OS, right? Like when I was trying to do, I think here also you will see the Linux one. User agent, npm config. I think we don't have that user agent here. Okay. There is a possibility for your Heroku application also to add some default values in your env object. But whatever you need to add with respect to your application, you need to configure everything under this config variables. Any doubts in this? Can we go to second MCQ and then continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Parthiv, Parthiv.
Please mute yourself, guys.
Hello.
Yes, Swapnil.
Ma'am, whenever I'm trying to install Express, I didn't see packages in my VS Code. The
In your node
Can
module?
I Express module?
Yeah. Inside your node modules, you're not able to see, is it?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Actually, I didn't see node module also.
Did you do npmi? What is the error you're getting?
Eh,
Yeah, I have added one MCQ for Tata batch. Do you get any errors, Swapnil, when you are trying to
I
install?
didn't get I didn't get any error. Only 18 packages are looking for funding run npm fund for detail one high
Yeah,
severity vulnerability ऐसा कुछ आ रहा है.
yeah, that is all standard one. If you can see in my screen, you still get that.
npm audit fix ऐसा it will showing on my screen.
Yeah, give me a minute.
npm audit.
NPM audit doesn't have anything to do with node module installation. It's just to fix few things. But yeah, let's see. What do you get when you try to run the application?
Ma'am, in deploying there are some error.
Okay, I have added the MCQ for Baba batch as well. Swapnil, is the error happening in your local or when you are deploying it?
Ma'am, in deploying also and whenever I'm running, uh, I cannot able to install modules, ma'am. Express, npm. I didn't shown as you are seen in your screen like node module.
Hmm.
I'm not able to see my screen in node module.
Okay, okay. At the end of the session, can you share your screen? Let's look into it.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I have added the MCQ. Okay. We still have one concept related to node itself, that is clusters. Okay. And how to deploy a cluster application in Heroku. Okay, we will see that tomorrow. Okay, along with the introduction to MongoDB, we will see that. Okay, if not tomorrow, okay, we will see when we are deploying the application when it is connected to Mongo itself. Okay, so that's one concept pending in Node. Other than that, let me show you the custom express validation. Okay, when we were seeing the express validation in the routes, I did show you only this, right? Let us see few examples. Okay, few examples with how to have your custom validation functions here and how to define a schema and then do it. Okay, custom validations will do, schema not that much required at this point of time, but let's see few samples. Okay, it's 9:52. Go for 5 minutes of break and come back by 9:57 around that time. Okay. Shubham, is
Yes,
there
ma'am.
any delivery over cluster with Mongo?
Right now you mentioned that we will see that the cluster part for the Heroku. Is
Yeah.
there any theory for the Mongo also for the cluster, creating cluster and how to uh, like hide all the thing behind the cluster and firewalls?
Yeah, but that I don't think it's part of the curriculum. But yeah, we will
Okay,
see
okay.
if time permits, we will add it. I'll definitely implement that and show.
So is it like similar with Heroku or Mongo for the cluster, or there's a huge difference in between both of us?
No, no, the Mongo clusters, I think it's different, right? Like it's different. Like we are saying the node environment, as I told, it's a single instance, right? It's running in a single thread. It's a single threaded.
Right.
So let's say you are having a request one which takes 5 seconds. Your request two will run. Okay, let's say you are giving two requests at the same time. Your request two will run only after 5 seconds, right? Because it's a single threaded. Only when your request one is completed, next request will be parsed, right?
Right.
So what you can do is, but your system generally have more than one cores, right? Like at a time it can process multiple things. So instead of, you can configure your node application to run in such a way, that both of the requests happens in multiple cores. It's still single threaded as node. No,
And what
yeah.
if means like there are multiple clusters if I implemented in
Yeah, if you have multiple clusters, you can have worker threads. If you know about that, okay, you can execute your request two need not wait till your request one gets completed.
so the instance you mentioned, it's a instance for what? It's similar like AWS Elastic instance or something else? Means I'm
No,
not
no,
means
the
getting
the
about
node
that
instance
instance thing.
itself, the
Okay,
node
node
instance is,
instance.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Mongo clusters are different.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no problem. Okay, can I post the third MCQ? We'll see
Yes, ma'am.
validations and then yes. Mm, Yeah, added third MCQ for Tata batch. Read the question, know about how objects are created, and then answer. How default values are assigned. Added the MCQ for Baba batch as well. There are too many concepts in this question. There's arrow functions, there's let keyword, there's operators. Okay, Prague PM2, that is, the process manager, right? Yeah, so basically that is used when you are applying your application in production. When your application grows, there's too much overhead by load balancing, right? So it is process manager PM2 helps you manage that. Yes, you can add all that to your learning bucket. Okay, and know more about how these systems are designed in the backend. Okay, you can also follow Alex in LinkedIn. Give me a minute. Yeah, so the first post itself is from him. So he is an author of very famous book called System Design Interviews Volume 1 and 2. He has recently released Volume 2 as well. So he posts amazing contents, how backend designing and all works, how to design for various systems. Okay, every now and then you can learn very diagrammatic explanation. You follow him, Shubham? Yeah. So yeah, I used to learn a lot from him, from his post as well. Very, every post of his will have a diagrammatic explanation, very easy to follow, and at the same time, very short and crisp information you can get. If you are interested in backend, following him, you will get to learn a lot. There's also, okay, yeah. He also posts stuffs about JavaScript. Okay, so yeah, you can follow him as well. Yeah, he's more into designing, I believe, CSS and JavaScript. But yeah, okay, done with your MCQ. Any doubts on that? Hmm. Okay, 50% correct answer in Tata, 60% correct answer in Baba. Any doubts in the MCQ part? Do you want me to explain? The answer is 10, 10. Everyone can understand?
Can you explain, ma'am?
Dheeraj, can you want me to explain? Yes, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So this is the code, right? So initially the number is 10. Okay, my num is 10. So when I call, these are functions, right? They are not going to be executed. So when I call increase number function, this is an arrow function. This, if there is no return keyword, if there's a single statement, it literally means return num plus plus. Okay, so you need not mention this return keyword if it's a single line. Okay, num plus plus, what will be your what will be the operation that your post increment will do? Okay, first it will return the value and then increment. Okay, so it will return 10. Okay, so your num1 will have 10 here. Understood? 1 will be 10 and your num will now get incremented and now your num will become 11. So far clear? Your
Yes,
num1
ma'am.
is 10. Okay,
Yeah,
so
clear, ma'am.
let's come to the second part. Okay, we are passing 10 here, right? We are passing num1. So num1 is 10. We are passing 10 here. Okay, similarly, it will receive 10. Okay, it will return 10. Okay, it will, this is the in num1, right? It will return 10 and then increment number by 1. Okay, so since it's returning 10, it will return 10 and this number is a local variable, right? So internally that num will become 11, but we are not even using that number anyway. So let's not bother about that. So your num1 is 10, again num2 is 10. Understood? Any doubts on that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So let's come to this express validator. Okay. Let me run this. npm run start will do. Start. So what we are doing in app.js, no index I have, right? In the sign up process, I have email ID and password. Let me pull in the documentation of express validator. Okay, so if you see here, we have custom validators as well. Okay, so whenever you are writing any validations, you can have dot custom function and you can give the function definition here. Okay, so in the custom function, they are checking this is a DB call actually. Okay, so if the email is already in use, how will you know if it is already in use? You have to make a query to your DB and then fetch that, right? So that is a validation specific to your application. So what you do is simply here they are making a DB call here and then returning that it is already in use. Okay, let's try to implement this. We don't have DB. Okay, for that, let's try to implement with any other fields. Okay, let's say I am also going to get a value called, as I gave you another example, right? Allowed countries, right? Let's say const allowed countries. Let's say you're going to support okay, only these two countries and you don't want to support any other countries. Okay, you don't want to support users from other regions and all. Okay, so let's say you are getting that value. Okay, so what you can do is check, let's have the variable name as country. Okay, so now dot, you have to use this custom function. Okay, again, this is a arrow function. You can name it anyhow. I'm going to have an arrow function similar here, right? So if you see here, the first thing is the value. The parameter which you will be getting in that callback function is the value of the country itself. So you can have that value. What do I need to check? If this value is available in this array or not. That's my criteria, right? That's my custom validation. Correct. Yeah. So now what I can do is, if it's not valid, you can simply throw an error, or if you can see here, you can return a promise, or you can reject, you can create a promise and then reject it. Okay, if it's invalid, or you can throw an error like this. Okay, let's throw a new error. If I go back, I need to check if this value, okay, or allowed countries dot includes this value. Okay, if it includes, you need to return true because it's valid, right? Else throw error. Understood what we are doing here? I'm having a custom function to validate. Okay, and then I have a condition for my validation. If it is valid, I'm returning true. Else I can either throw an error, create a new error object and then throw that. Okay, and or else I can create a promise like this. Okay, you can simply return promise dot reject and then give the message whatever you want it to. Okay, so now let us try to check this. Okay, so country not supported. Okay, so now if I try to run my application, let's stop and run again. This is a sign up, right? So let me go back to my Postman. In the sign up, let's have all valid things and then a variable called country, and let's say I give some invalid one. Okay, let us try to hit it. Yeah, I get a password error. Yeah, now can you see the country error as well? This is a custom validation which I have added other than the default validation method which is available in the Express validator. I have my own validation here. Understood how to add custom validations? Okay, so now let's say you have confirm password as well. Okay, during the sign up, you will get two fields, right? Password 2 times. One is the password and the other is the confirm password field. Let's say you need to check that as well. Check confirm password field. Add a comma here. Confirm password field dot custom. As I told, it's an arrow function. Okay. The first one is the value of custom password. But in order to validate this value, you need to check the value. You need to get the value of password as well, right? You need to get the value of password, correct? Only then you can check if this value, if confirm password value is equal to your password as well, right? So in order to do that, Okay. Here, if you can see here, first one is the value and the second one is the options, and you can destructure it, get only the request, because only in the request you have the password value, right? So you can just have a comma. Okay. Get the request object alone. Okay. Inside the validation, you can simply check if request dot body, okay, dot password, okay, if it's not equal to the current value, I can simply throw the error, else I can return true, right? No need else part. If it's thrown error, everything after it will not be executed. So here I can say that password and confirm password are not same. Okay. Now if I let us stop our server, start again. If I go and give confirm password value, okay, let's have, okay, let's give a different value. In the first place, password itself does not satisfy the criteria, okay, and it's not same as well. All the errors you are getting listed. Okay, let's have cdf cdf. If you see here, you don't get that error, that confirm password and password, that error is not there, but still your password is invalid. Okay, now let's include numbers, symbols, and what else? Okay, let me copy. Now let us hit. My password is correct. Okay, it satisfies all the criteria, but this password and confirm password are not same, so it is giving me an error. Let me copy the same thing and then paste it. Now it should work. Okay, let's have, okay, so these are few custom validations by which you can add it. So now if you see here, the list is growing, right? Like as and when you have new fields added, you are adding them to the validator and it becomes clumsy. Yes, understood the problem here. Yes, no, any response? 24 are here. Sudhakar, what happened? Srinivas, all are silent.
No, I'm clear.
Okay.
Ma'am, can you explain the confirm password?
Okay, you want me to explain the confirm password?
Yeah.
Okay. The value field contains the value of this field only. Here, value directly points to the country. That is whatever country the user is giving. If I give India, the value here, the value is India here. Okay, so with that value, I am checking whether that value is present in this array and then validating it. Okay, when I come to confirm password, okay, the first one is the confirm password value, whatever you give in the confirm password. Okay, this is the value in my code. Okay, but in order
Okay.
to check this confirm password, you need to check if my password and confirm password are equal, right? Only then it will be it. That is the criteria I need to check, right? That is the validation I need to perform, whether password and the confirm password are same. But I don't have password value here. I have only confirm password value here. I need the value of password. So where is my value? Where is the password's value? In the request body, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So I need to get the request object. You can have it as a you can get that and destructure it as a second value. Okay, second parameter. If you see the documentation here, okay, so you can see here they are destructuring it as a second, no, from the second argument. They are getting only the request object and then checking it with the value. Okay, with the current confirm password value. So you are ideally checking the value of password and the value of confirm password.
Okay, ma'am. Confirm.
Okay, these are all custom validations, right? You cannot have the method to do that and all. Did you try other methods in the validation? Use this third-party package when you are building applications and all. Okay, if you try to write logic for each one of them, it will be very difficult to complete your project in a short period of time. Okay, and also many errors will be happening, and it will be a time consuming process for this normal validations and all. Okay, so now let's see what schema is, right? And understood so far how custom validations work. Custom error messages we already saw, right? Like with message is the thing you have to use. After every validation, not this one. After every validation, if you want specific messages after this validation, use this with message to give the custom messages for each of the criteria. Okay, when you have multiple criterias and you don't want messages like this, when you want a standard message, only one message for one particular field, add a comma next to the field name itself and then give it. So these are custom error messages which you can use in the application. So let me go back and show you schema validation. All right, so now what happens is this list will keep on growing, and it will be very difficult to maintain. Instead, you can just give the condition and the field what all you need to have as a schema. Okay, and then validate that if it satisfies that schema. Schema is nothing but all the rules that your field has to follow. Okay, for example, if you see here, check inside the check schema, they have an object. Okay, these are the fields, right? If you see here, id is a field, and the custom fields whatever you wanted to have, all those you can have it. So in id is a field. Okay, if you need to mention like where it is, if it is in body, if you want to check only in body, you can mention body. If you want to check only in query param, you can mention query. Okay, or only if you wanted to validate in this params, right? So you can mention that where you wanted to check. Okay, typically this check method checks everywhere, the body, the query param, wherever you have a field called password, it will go and validate it with this criteria you have mentioned. If you want to do specifically, you can have that method alone. Okay, now let's say you want to have for body and query param, but not for everything else. So what you will be doing is copy paste this entire thing. Okay, and then change this query to query, right? So this will not, and then this will not do for everything, but just for body and query. So instead of repeating all these, your schema comes in very handy at this for all these use cases and all. Okay, you can simply mention what are the location where you want this id field to be validated, whether it's in body or in query param and all those. Okay, and then the error message you wanted to give. Okay, these are sanitizers. Let's say if you want to convert a string value to a number, you can give that. Okay, let's say if you want to check if it is a number, okay, then you can check is int true, then it will check if it is a number or not. Okay, then let's see if you wanted to add custom validator. Okay, instead of these things, if you wanted to add a custom validator, you can add custom, and then you can give the function as an options here. Can we implement this for our application? We see here
Yes, ma'am.
password is the variable name. Okay, and is length is the condition. Like I wanted to check the length condition is length, and then the error message for that and the options for that. You see here, first name is the field name, is uppercase, is the condition, and these are the options. So you have multiple things which you can do. Let's try to configure for password and email. Yeah, you can add this as well. Let's try to add a schema for email and password alone. Okay, let's create a separate object, validation schema. Okay, what we are going to do is we are just going to define this part. Let's put that in create schema afterwards. Okay, let's create this part alone. Okay, so the first is the field name, right? So what is the field name we have? Email ID. So have email ID in an object. What are the criteria? Is email and length, right? So just have this email. Okay, the second one is length. So if it's is email, I don't know what this bail functionality is. Dot mail stop running if any of the previous ones have failed. Okay, that touches a database. Okay, from running. Got it, got it. So if you see here, if we have multiple validations, right? Let's say it's an email, it's an length. When it's not an email, why do I need to validate this, right? So at that particular point in time, you can just add is bail function here to stop validating when the first criteria itself failed. I understood the use of bail here. I just read it from the documentation, nothing much. So each third party package have their own definition. So you need to look into what they actually mean. Okay, if you see here, stops running validations if any of the previous ones have failed. Useful to prevent a custom validator that touches a database or external from running when you know it will fail. Yes. So let's say if it is not even an email, why do I need to go and hit a database to check if that email is present? Right? That in that point in time, whenever you want to stop if the previous one fails, you just need to add that. And even in schema, okay, even in schema, you can give that as an option. True. So when this condition is true, it will not go and execute this one. Understood the bail part? Okay, so let us give options for length. Okay, length minimum is 10, right? Let's say you wanted to have error message here. Where is my schema? Yes. Let's say I wanted to have error message only for this particular thing. Okay, this is the key. Error message. Go back. Not a valid email. Okay, here options. What are the options I wanted? Minimum has to be 10, right? So min, I think that's the way. Okay, you have to give it in options and then have to give it. You cannot give it directly. You need to mention that it is an options and then do it like min 10. Okay, so these are the criterias for email ID. I can have it as a schema, and then instead of listing all these fields, I can simply add this schema name here. Okay, now let's go back and give validations for a second field as well, which is password. Okay, for password, I have is strong password, right? Is strong password, and the options is going to be the options object is this one. paste it. Okay, and the error message, let's have error message for this one as well. And the error message for strong password. So let's say this is my schema. Okay, so for these are the conditions I wanted to give. You can have it as in a separate file as a validation schema. List all that there and then import check schema method here. Okay, so instead of giving an array of middlewares like this, okay, instead of giving an array of middlewares like this, I can simply remove all these, check schema, and then give my validation schema object, which I just created. This is much more clean, right? I need not have this here also. I can just create a separate file like validation schema. Okay, and then export it from there and import it and just add the schema here. This is much more cleaner than the previous approach.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So let me cut and then start now. Let us see if it's running properly as expected. Let me reduce the size of my Gmail. Okay, so it's working as expected. The schema, if you see, ID a minimum of 10 characters. Let's remove password. Let's make it invalid. Again, password is also validated. Country we didn't validate. Only for email and password we gave, right? So let's add custom. No, now the country is going to be a custom one. Okay, right? Country. What is the condition here? I have a custom validation to be performed. I need not have this default validations. So you need to mention that it is custom. You cannot by heart all these syntax and all. Try to develop the practice of reading documentation and then implement it. Okay, if you see here, custom validators, options, the first one is the value. I need only value for my thing. So I can just copy that. Options, I don't want all of these. I get the value. So what I can do is if value allowed country dot includes value, I can return true, else throw error object is not supported. I have removed all those, right? Okay, yeah, I'll add that as well. Okay, so this is one criteria. Let's say you have confirm password. Next field, again that is custom, so have custom here. Options, inside the options, the first one is the value. Okay, I need only the request part and I am destructuring. If you go back, you can also get the location, you can also get the path, right? All these value, you can get the location, you can get the path and all in the custom validation method. Okay, so now I am concerned only about the request parameter, so I need only that. So what we need to check is if this value, if my value is not equal to request dot body dot password, throw the error. Some error messages, and then here if you return true. Okay, so this is how you add custom validations as a schema and then pass that schema in the check schema method. Okay, everything is just the same, nothing different. Can you see the timing and all, that the post call, when it's being made and all these information? Can anyone of you tell me why it's happening? If I try to hit, can you see that a post call is being hit and the time and all these informations, the error code of that? Why are we getting this? Why didn't we get in other applications, like other places where we developed it? Any guesses on how it's happening?
Is it using Morgan or something like
Yes.
that?
We created this project using Express Generator, right? So Express Generator in turn uses this Morgan logging thing. Okay, so and that's the reason all these logs are getting printed. Okay, so let's go back now. If it should validate, if you see, it's validating the country and it's validating the password as well. So this is how you define a schema, and then stick with this approach only. Define as if it's more than 2 fields, go with schema validations. Okay, it will make your code much more cleaner, and instead of having a messy code, this will make it much more. Put all these schema in a separate file, export it, and then import it, and then use it. Okay, so only the controller part is being handled here. Any doubts with this schema, guys? Like how to perform schema validations?
No, ma'am.
No? Others? Akhilesh, Dheeraj, Ganga, Ibrar? Any doubts? There are
No, ma'am.
multiple other validations as well. Go read the documentation. Okay. There's sanitization. Sanitization meaning, let's say the user gives you a email ID, okay, and it has a space at the end, right? Whenever you try to give an enter, or whenever you try to use the saved passwords, by default a space will be added, right? All these you don't want to treat it as an error, rather rectify it in your server itself. So all those sanitizations, by sanitization they mean all those, the values are correct, but there are, like, let's say you are expecting true false as a boolean. Okay, if the user sends it as a string, you should still accept it, right? Similarly, if the user sends a number as a string, you can still convert it to a number and then make use of it, instead of throwing that as an error. Okay, you can still sanitize those values and all, and you can still use it. So this express validator does not only help you in validating the inputs, it also helps you in sanitizing the inputs as well. So if you know, after checking, you can trim it and remove. You can convert it into boolean, you can convert it into integer, or you can convert, all type conversion and all can be made. You can, as similar to how your custom validators perform, you can also have custom sanitizers as well. Okay, let's say if you have a value and you want to convert that value into something else, you can still do that. Yeah, the basic we have covered, but there are few other things. Explore this package more. It will help you in simplifying your process and develop your project it much faster. Okay. Yeah, I will upload the okay, I'll comment this and I'll add this as an upload. I have removed it. Okay. Let's answer the last MCQ. Any doubts so far? Yeah, give me a minute, Prague. I'll come back. I'm posting the MCQ. Yeah, I have added it for Tata Badge. Again, this is quite tricky one. Okay, so read the question, know how the objects are created, how the objects are passed, how default value works in objects, and then answer. Don't be in a hurry to answer any options. Yeah, I have added MCQ for Baba batch as well. Okay. Sanitization will change the value or it will work on copy of that value.
Like, ma'am, I have to store that value in a DB, so I can use the sanitized value, or I have to store it in a variable and then I have to store.
No, no, no. It will actually change it, the change the actual value itself. Let's try it. Why to? Let me try that. Email. Let's do email dot trim. Okay. Check email ID. That's the field name, right? After this, let's go and try to print email ID. So I'm just trying to print the email ID. If let's give a space in the email ID and send it. Let's see how it's working. Okay, so not equal. Okay, value is not equal to. Same values only, no? Again. Okay, I got the error now. It's just confirm password. Yeah. The previous one also will work. Okay, we have given the field name wrong. Okay, registered successfully. Let's go and check the log here. Okay, I haven't given space, so it's getting printed. Let's give a space here and then now send it. Okay, it's automatically invalidating the space as not a valid email ID. The first condition itself is failing. This itself is failing. So what we need to do is sanitize that first. And then try to hit. Okay. So ideally it is changing the value of email itself. And that's the reason when it is getting changed. Okay. When it's getting changed, after that it's validating, it's not failing, right? In the email is not failing. Okay. And if you see the console log also, the space is being changed. So ideally it's changing the value of the which is available in the body itself, not a copy. Okay, so you need not save it in a separate variable. If you get it from body itself, it will have the value which you have sanitized. Got it, Prag?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you need not save it. Okay, any doubts on the MCQ? Many of you have given wrong answers. Any doubts? Let's check Baba batch. Okay, 45 right answers from Tata. Yes, I'm explaining. Okay. So this is the MCQ. Oh, this is very bad. Let me copy it from my. So this is the MCQ, right? So a object, okay, a function, okay. So one parameter, that is x, is the parameter, and this x has a default value of this object, right? It is a spread operator. So ideally in this place, this object will be substituted. Is this part clear? What is happening here? Only one parameter x, and if that parameter is not given by the line whichever it is calling, okay, it has a default object which is just which is using the spread operator and your entire number, which means, okay, this is something similar to number 10. Okay, understood this part? What,
Yes, ma'am.
how your default values are getting added? So instead of adding the same object, I'm using spread operator to add the value object directly here. Okay, so this line means x dot number equal to x dot number into 2. Okay, asterisk equal to means like this. This is clear what is happening in line 77.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's just a plus operator. So in line 80, when I'm calling the multiply method, I am not passing the value of x, right? So it will take the default value. So every time a default value is being assigned, if it is a object, it will create a new object only. Okay, so everything in the, so now my x here, x will be number 10, right? In line 80, when my multiply function is called, there's no argument passed. So your default value will be assigned. My default value here is number 10, right? A new object. It's not the same one. Okay, and every time a new object will be created because you are creating a new object here. Okay, curly braces, and then copying all the values of the object value using the spread operator, and then you are substituting. This and this is different. Got it? It's a new object that's being created when the default, when the argument is not passed. Now, if I go and now the x number is 10, right? So 10 into 2, which is 20. Correct? So the first time the console log 20 will be printed. Line 80 clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got it. Now, the second one, line 81. Again, as I said, since this is a default, x dot number is 20. Correct. X dot number has been changed because x dot number is equal to x dot number into 2. X dot number is 20. But again, when I call the second, as I told you in the first one, this one and the default value which is getting created are different. It is a new object. So changing x dot number will not change this one. Is that point clear? Okay, so on so that so because of that, when I call line, when line 81 is being executed, again I'm not passing any argument. Default value will be considered. Okay, the default value is create a new object and then copy all the properties in my value object and substitute. What is there in my value? Number 10, the same one. Yes. So again, x dot number is equal to x dot number is 10 now. So 10 into 2 is 20. So x dot number is 20. So here also 20 will be printed. This is the one you have to understand. Here, every time you are creating a new object and not the old one. Understood this line 80 and line 81? Any doubts for anyone? Can we go to line 82?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in line 82, I am passing the value. I am passing this object. Okay. I'm passing this object as it is. So this default value is will not be considered. I am passing value itself here. The entire value object itself. So now x dot number is equal to x dot number into 2. So my number is 10. Okay, in this line, line 82, my number is 10. So 10 into 2 is 20. So now x dot number is 20. So, but what is this x? This x is the value, right? So this is changing the value object itself to 20. Understood? Here 20 will be printed. Right, x dot number is equal to x dot number into 2. 10 into 2 is 20. 20 will be printed, but your value also will change to 20 because I am passing it as an argument and then I am modifying it inside the function. So it will reflect here. This value itself will get changed. Understood the line 82 part? Any confusion on that?
How
Now,
number is becoming 20? It's not clear.
10 is becoming 20.
Yes, ma'am. Number.
Okay, so it is 10. Okay, when line 32 is executed, this entire value itself is being passed, right? So and line number 10 is being passed. Okay, default value is not taken into consideration, so new object is not created. It is the same object in line 74, same space, same object, same reference. Okay, same is getting passed, so your default, only when a default object will is getting created, only then a new object will be created. This is the same as value. The value in line 74 and the value which you pass in line 82 are same object, same reference. Okay, inside the function, you are changing that value's number to 20. Okay, it is initially 10. 10 into 2 is 20. So x dot number is 20. Correct. So if x dot number is 20, what is x? What is x in our,
And
it is the value itself, right?
Mhm.
Value object itself. So I am changing the property of the value object x dot number. So x dot number becomes 20 here. Got it? So since x dot number is becoming 20, which is the same reference as the value itself, this will also change as 20. If I have to explain, give me a minute. Let me take this code. So this is a question, right? So what happens is when this line is getting executed, okay, a new object, okay, default value, a new, let's say this is value, okay, and number is 10. Okay, this is line, this part. Okay, so when I'm calling this first multiply, okay, I am going to use the default value. Okay, so a new object will be created, okay, which will point to x, and your number will be 10 here. Okay, so this is for the first call. Okay, now I'm changing this number to 20. Yes, inside this, okay, 20 will be printed and your x dot number will change to 20, but who cares, I'm coming out. Okay, I'm calling the next function. Okay, again a copy of this x will be created. Okay, a copy of this value, this is value, right? A copy of this will be created because you are doing that, you're creating a new object. In this case, if you see, we are creating a new object and copying everything from the value. So again, a new x object will be created. This is done. Okay, this is discarded. Okay, we are not using this. A new object, a new copy is created. Here, my number is again 10. Okay, again my 20 will get logged. Okay, 20 comma 20. Okay, and then this number is also changing to 20. Understood? So in the third thing, what we are doing is, okay, this that you are passing the multiply in the multiply function. Okay, you are passing the reference of this value itself. Okay, we are not creating a new object and copying it. Okay, you are passing the reference of this original value object itself. Okay, so when I try to change number inside this line, okay, this original value itself will get modified. The number value will get modified to 20. Okay, again when I call the last multiply, again I am passing the reference of the same original object itself. So it has already been changed to 20. Now again I need to multiply into 2, which is 40. Okay, it changes it into 40 and then print 40 here. So 20, 20, 20 and 40 will be the answer. Understood why a new object is created for the first 2 times and the same reference is being used for the third and fourth? For the first two, we
Yeah.
are creating default, we are using default values. So how am I using this default value? I'm creating a new object and I'm using spread operator to copy all the properties from value. Let's say if my multiply function, right? If my multiply function has something like value, instead of creating a new object and copying it, if my multiply function has the same exact reference of value itself, okay, at if this is the definition, then on every call this value will be changed. Initially it will be 20 and then it will become 40 and then 80 and then 160. Understood the difference of having it like this and having it like this? Okay, this is the same reference to my original one. This will create a new object. Understood the difference? Any doubts on this, Prag? Clear? Okay.
Yeah, clear.
Others? See, JavaScript concept wise, you will understand when you club multiple concepts together, it is tricky. Okay. Initially, when you know all the concepts, you will feel like it's easier language. Yes, it's easy. But once you know how it's working internally, and that is when it gets complicated, you will have to know how it is working internally. Okay, so it's already 11. We are done with 4 MCQs. Tomorrow we will start with MongoDB. Okay. Yeah. If you are, no, if you get some time, try to install MongoDB. We will have a demo tomorrow for sure. But if you can install it before, you can work side by side. Okay, any doubts in today's topic? Whatever we saw, how to add environment variables in the project in local, how to configure it in Heroku, how to add custom validations, how to have a schema for custom validations and then give that schema, and how to do a sanitization, basically changing values as per our requirement. Swapnil, any doubts? Shubham Kumar, Saurabh, Rupam, Nileshwar, any doubts? No? Okay. So tomorrow is CC. Let me see if that's doable. If there's any complications, let me explain now itself. Yes, yes. Added attendance for Baba. Tomorrow's CC, nothing particular to ENVs. I think I'll have to pull out a general coding assignments, which you already know, but yeah. I've created attendance, guys. Let's those who are leaving, good night. Let's catch up tomorrow. Yes. Tomorrow we'll start with the introduction of databases, how NoSQL and SQL databases are in general. Okay, and introduction to MongoDB and installation. Nothing specific to MongoDB other than installation. Okay. Just the introduction to databases and MongoDB. Yes, Lakwinder, I have added the attendance. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you. Good night.
Good night, ma'am.
Good night.
Ma'am, shall I share my screen?
Yes, yes, sure. Give me a minute. Okay, update the repo just after the class and don't forget to include comments. Yes, after the class, I'm finding it difficult. Yes, I'll try to do it because there are too much here and there. I'm just formatting it. At max, I'll try to upload by tomorrow morning. Okay. Yeah. Good night, Ibrar. Yes, Swapnil, give me a minute. Oh, okay, no. Can you try sharing it? Yes.
See, ma'am, in my app.js, I cannot able to see node module, ma'am.
But where is your package.json file?
Uh, exactly, ma'am. Actually, I cannot see packages file, ma'am.
Okay, can you scroll down? No, no, the left side.
Wait.
No, in the file explorer, where you have this. Yeah. Can you just scroll down? Okay. You have the thing here. Okay, package.json. So your node modules should be anywhere here only. So can you just scroll up, 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 up? Uh,
Ma'am, actually, I'm installing Express.js here.
mhm.
So my node module also seem to be here now.
Yes, correct. But you will have to have package.json. Do an npm init first. Yeah, go into Heroku project and then do npm init. Always start your application with npm init only. Yeah, give enter.
Ma'am, npm install package.
Use npm. That no. Just initialize your project first. Give enter. Install of package also will work. Okay, that is to install the packages separately. Just give enter for all the things. Version, description, entry point. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, enter. Give enter. Yeah, why? Okay. Now do npmi express.
Actually, I didn't enter. Actually, I don't know about that. That's why.
Okay. So you
Now
have
I
to,
got.
yeah. Now do npmi express or whatever packages you wanted to install. Yeah. So these are all values which are present in the package.json file. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am. Now I get it, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
this was the issue actually. That's why actually there
yeah.
is
No.
no other problem. Only this problem.
Okay. Don't use dot and all. Slash itself will work. You know the API routes, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Dot slash post is not necessary. Okay.
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 Thank you,
Good
ma'am.
night, Swapna. Yeah, no problem. Saurabh, Shubham, Subhash, any doubts?
No, ma'am. Good night.
Okay, good night. Good night, Prag. Good night, Saurabh, Subhash. Yeah, good night, everyone.
Right, ma'am.